What it do, everybody? It's your favorite Crew Excellence member, Justin Strickland, and I'm back for episode 12 of The Ladder. So excited, so privileged, so honored to be here with you today. Before we jump into it, today's episode is fire. Definitely, it stems from like a real life conversation I had, and I was like, we got to talk about it on the pod. So I hope that you all enjoy it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with your auntie and that uncle you don't talk to that much, but you know would love this kind of content, okay? So we're going to jump right into it. If you're new, you're part of Crew Excellence, which is you're a part of the crew. We go be excellent every day. Wake up, brush our teeth, go be excellent, okay? That's what we do. And I'm your favorite Crew Excellence member. You can ask your mama. She's going to tell you the same. It's not personal. It's just the way this goes, okay? And today, I was talking to this on one of my young guys, man, and we was talking about marriage. And I have the privilege to have been married over a decade now. I know I don't look like it, but it's true. Working on my 12th year of marriage currently. And we had a conversation and he was like, man, I seen the podcast, but you don't talk about stuff like this on your podcast. And I've been thinking about it all week. Like, how can I weave that into it? And so this is the last episode of Black History Month. And so I want to talk about something that I think is beneficial to the Black community. And I hope will help some people, okay? One thing that we talk about in our community is the lack of male headship and male leadership in the household, right? Like, that's a wide known thing. Like, that's the joke. Like, Black kids don't grow up without their daddy. Like, that's something that really we've been talking about for a long time within our community, really since the 80s, right? 70s and 80s, when they started the war on drugs and the war on crime, right? And a lot of those households just kind of got broken up. And then with the emphasis of single parenting on as far as when it comes to like government assistance, like there's a myriad of reasons why men are not in homes. But as it's a leadership podcast, right? I wanted to talk about what it looks like to lead as a husband within a marriage. Because I think that if I can help men who are married or are thinking about becoming married lead well within their families, that's the way I would love to attack that issue. Okay? And so not necessarily going through the moral kind of principles and things of that nature, but I just want to talk about leadership, being a husband in a marriage and being a leader. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And women, I want you to stick around because I want you, if you're single, to start making a list. These are the things that you're looking for. If you're in a marriage, start making a list. Is this something your husband is doing? Is this something that you would want your husband to do? Is there something that you're not letting your husband do? Okay? So this is for both people. Ladies, don't turn this one off. I promise you're going to learn something today. And I hope that this will help you. And I will hope this will edify and build up some marriages that exist or that will exist in the future. All right? So let's jump into it. Why do I think male leadership is important within a marriage? I think the number one reason is because that is what our intended design was for. And so when God created man, he gave us the opportunity to lead within marriage. And so when we are leading poorly, we are in fact going against God's created design for us. And there are a ton of reasons why men lead poorly. I think the number one reason men lead poorly in marriages is because they've never seen it before. And so I talk to a lot of guys my age, older, younger, and a lot of them have never seen what it looks like to be a man in a home and leading it well and being healthy, right? Like, there's a lot of people that have fathers in the home, but they're not necessarily healthy leaders, right? They might be more dictators. They might be more kind of disciplinarians, but they don't necessarily want to, their sons grow up and they don't necessarily want to lead that same way. And so they don't really have a basis or foundation for how to lead within a marriage. And so number one thing I want to talk about, first things first, right? We all were raised a certain way. We all come from houses and homes where you did things a certain way, where you had certain principles, you had certain foundations, you had unwritten rules, right? There's a lot of unwritten rules that people don't never ever really say out loud, but just kind of happens. Like for me, my unwritten rule, we didn't go in my mama's bedroom. Like, and I never remember explicitly being told I couldn't go in there, but I just remember I remember being like in high school and just not knowing what my mama's room even looked like. Like there was no reason. It was like no reason for me to go in there, and like we would knock and she would come out, or we would yell through the door. But like I never went in my mama's room. Like that was an unwritten rule that I just carried with me, right? And to this day, I really don't like kids in my room. Like if you ain't my wife, why are you in here? Now my wife is completely different, and so I'm gonna get to that, but I think as men, we have to recognize that just because we grew up a certain way, our moms did things a certain way, our dads did things a certain way, doesn't mean that's how we always should do it. It doesn't mean that's exactly how it should be in our house, right? Now, there are some things we stand on, right? There are some things that you're like, nope, we don't do that in my house. We're not doing that any house that I'm a part of. And I think you got to set your flag in the ground, right? Dig your feet in the sand, draw your line. But everything can't be that. That's where the first thing I want us to understand is like everything can't be a line in the sand moment, right? Where you put laundry is not a line in the sand moment. Okay? It might feel that way. You might be completely disgusted that your wife leaves her laundry in the dryer instead of putting it up. But that's not we getting divorced because you don't put your laundry up. Like, come on, man, that's poor leadership. Okay? That's poor leadership, because you got to remember, you're leading your wife, and if you have kids, you are not a slave master. So let's talk about this. You're not required to tell them everything to do and how they do everything. That's not what healthy leadership is. That's not leadership that you would respond to, and that's not the leadership your family's going to respond to. And so you are supposed to be setting culture, setting boundaries, laying vision, right, for your family. But you don't necessarily get to dictate every single detail of what goes on in the home. And so one of the things you got to figure out, what are the things that is a line in the sand for you? Like, what is something that you don't think that you could deal with, that you don't want to put up with? Get you a list. And so if you have a young lady that you're interested in, or that maybe y'all even engaged and y'all really getting ready for marriage, one, always do premarital counseling. Why? Because that's good leadership. Healthy leadership says, hey, I care about you and I want to prepare us best for the future. So I'm going to get some people who have done this, who have some wisdom, and I'm going to put us in that space so that we can be better prepared for what we're walking into. That's leadership, right? That's what you want your boss to do. Right? That's what you want your pastor to do. You should do the same thing in your marriage. If your boss just hired you and was like, do your job, and you was like, wait a minute, can I get some onboarding? Can I get some training? Can you show me? And they be like, nah, bro, you hired, do it. Like, you would be like, nah, you're not a good boss. So it's the same thing as far as being a husband. Like, prepare your wife and yourself for that. And so when you're in premarital counseling, talk about your lines in the sand. And it could be a myriad of things. That's the thing. I'm not saying that there are things that you shouldn't put a line in the sand on, but I'm just saying you should know what they are and you should communicate them clearly. If you having your money separate is a line in the sand, then you both need to know that, right? Or vice versa. If you saying we need to have our money together because that's how my parents did it, I think that's good for us. If that's something you want to put your line, you know what I'm saying, set your flag on, you got to set your flag, and that's what it is. And you have to communicate that, because that allows your wife to decide, or your future wife to decide, if she has a line in the sand that she ain't willing to step on too. Right. And so you have to understand compromise and those kind of things. And you have to decide, like, what are you willing to compromise on? Why? And how far are you willing to compromise on it? Okay. And so that's the first thing. Understanding that how you were raised, your background, your family, you bring that with you into a relationship. Are those things right, or are those things what you've done? Because there's a lot of things that we've just done, but it's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just things that we've just done. So understanding those things is the number one thing for you to be a leader in your family. Some of you have been married or in relationships for a long time and been carrying a lot of that baggage. And I say baggage not in a bad way, but baggage is in you don't have to have it way, right? You've been carrying that in your relationship, and that is hindering a lot of the growth that you and your significant other could experience, because you only want things to be done a certain way because your mama and daddy did it that way, or your grandma and grandpa did it that way, or your one auntie and uncle that's actually successful, they did it that way, so you think that's the only way you can be successful, and that's just not true, okay? And so that's the first thing, understanding what you bring with you, and is it stuff that you should have or not, right? Like, you ever been at the airport and they be like, your bag too heavy, and you start figuring out what do you need on the trip and what did you just want? This is the same thing as you prepare to lead a relationship. You have to decide, what do you need and what do you just want? Because relationships are spirit. You can't take everything, okay? You can only take a certain amount of things and be successful. You can't take everything. So you have to make that decision. The second thing is you have to understand, as a man, you have to understand what is worth fighting over and why. Okay, so this, you bring stuff, you don't bring stuff, you made that decision, you have your list, and you and your significant other, you and your girl, y'all done decided, hey, this is my list, this is your list, this is where we at. Okay, good, we good. I'm good with your list, you good with my list. Now we gonna do this thing. You gonna have some conflict because we're human. You gonna mess up, she gonna mess up, whatever. Neither of y'all gonna mess up. Y'all just gonna miss each other, right? You gonna have some conflict. It's your job as the leader to decide what is worth arguing and fighting over. There are some things that you 100% need to argue over. You need to come to a consistent conclusion. You need to agree. You have to see eye to eye. There are some things that I would say you have to figure out. This is worth it. We're going to fight over this till we figure it out. But I'm telling you, 90% of the other things you can let go. Being honest. And I'm not saying no doormat stuff. I'm not saying being no pushover, but I'm just saying there is something true. There's something real about you being like, no, we're not arguing about that. Like, it's just that's like leadership, right? Like, there is excellent leadership looks like, I'm going to keep the main thing. And if this ain't about that main thing, then I'm not going to spend a lot of energy fighting with you over this. Some of that is agree to disagree. Hey, babe, I don't really see it that way, but it ain't a big deal. Woo! You know how much time that can save you, brother? That can save you a lot of time. Or because this would be the real thing, right? A lot of times, you really don't even care that much. You just don't like the way she said it. Or you don't want her to feel right about this. First of all, grow up. Right? Let's look ourselves in the mirror. Let's grow up. Okay. But also understand, if this isn't taken away from the vision you have for the family or the direction you're taking the family, why are you spending 2 weeks on it? Why are you spending hours on it? Why are you messing up a night of sleep for you and your wife because you don't have the foresight to say this ain't that important? So once you know what you bring in, right? What she bringing, y'all make a decision. When you're in the day-to-day, you have to make daily decisions on, is this something we're going to argue about? This something I'm going to let go. And I'm telling you, 99% of it is this something I'm going to let go, right? And a lot of times what that can look like is, hey, I don't necessarily agree with the way you're doing this. And I want to remind you, this is what I'm thinking how we should go. Are we still on the same page on that? Because this makes me feel like we're not. Woo! Get your notebooks out. That's some good stuff right there. This made me feel like we're not on the same page. And we talked about this, and then we said this is where we wanted to go. Do you see that? Do you see where there could be some incongruity there? Right? Do you see where I could feel like we're not on the same page? Can we talk about that? That's some high level communication. That's called maturity, right? To have that kind of conversation, right? And to understand, like, if this is not something that takes away from where we're going, you got to allow your spouse, your girl, to do her own thing and not take it as disrespect. Like, right? Like, just because she don't do exactly what you said to do, don't mean she's disrespectful. It just means she's an adult. right? Who can make decisions and have her own choices. And that doesn't mean you're petty on the backside and she don't do what you said to do. And now she needs your help, but you don't want to help her because she ain't listening in the first place. That's poor leadership. Grow up. Grow up. Okay. We got to mature. This is your wife who you said you was going to help. This is your girl who you said you want to help. Yes, she didn't listen the first time. Cool. She's back and she's saying, hey, I need your help. I'm telling you, if you don't show up that second time when she needs you, why would she ever listen to you? So you gonna blow your opportunities to lead. Some of y'all don't feel like your woman listen to you is because when she do, you throw it in her face. You remind her, hey, I remember I told you this and you ain't listen. And so now you want to listen, whatever. Yeah, whatever. No, like, bro, grow up. This is your girl. You love her. You want the best for her. Show up when she needs you, right? And allow her to be an adult, to make choices, but allow yourself to be the leader and to make sure that when she makes choices that don't necessarily work out for her, that you're still there, right? That's our employers do it, right? They don't all of a sudden don't pay you your 2 weeks because you ain't finished your project. Right now, if you keep not finishing projects, you can get fired, right? But that first time you say, your boss say, hey, this is the way you should do it. You like, nah, I got something better, boss. I got something innovative. And you do it that way and it don't work out. He'll be like, all right, so you fired and you're not getting paid. Like, it don't work like that, right? They're gonna be like, okay, so remember what I told you the first time. This is why I said that. This is why you should do it. Now go, this the play, go do it. It should work out. So you got to look at it the same way. Like, you want a role of leadership. Your job isn't to make your wife feel bad because she didn't listen to you the first time. Your job isn't to belittle her or make her feel like she's silly or dumb because she didn't get it. Like, that's not your job. I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but I'm saying this is the truth. This is how it should go when we're going to lead with excellence, right? In a marriage or in a relationship. So that's the first two things. So first thing, take an inventory of your home, of your upbringing, the baggage that you have with you. Take an inventory, decide what is things you should continue in life. What are things that you would like to do, but you ain't tripping about? What are some things that you don't want to do, but you could be persuaded? Or what are some things that you ain't doing? So take an inventory. Second thing, decide what's worth fighting about. Just make a decision. Make a decision. I made a decision very early on in my marriage, and I'm telling you from experience, me and my wife used to argue about everything. We argue about the sky color. We argue about anything. But I mean, we both had to make decisions like, bro, we arguing about stuff that really don't matter. And the reason is we both like being right. Like, it is what it is. We both like being right. Like, we are to the point. My friends make fun of me all the time. You always gotta be right. Yes, I like being right, right? So, but I understand. I'm self-aware. I understand that is something that I battle with. Okay, but you gotta. You have to understand also, how does that affect your marriage and relationship? Like, for me, one of the things that happens is my wife don't like when I'm right. She just flat out don't like it. It is what it is. She can't stop me, okay? But she don't like that I'm right. She doesn't like it when I'm right. And so she will fight tooth and nail to be right because she don't like it when I'm right, okay? That is what it is. That being said, we don't argue and fight about little stuff because it ain't that deep, okay? It's not that deep. And that's something that you got to understand. When you say it's not that deep, it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter to you. I want to re-articulate that. When I'm saying it's not that deep, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter to you or shouldn't matter to you. I'm saying that the overall health and direction of your relationship should matter more. So you have to take an inventory. Is this argument matter more than the health and direction of my relationship? Is it going to affect the health and direction of my relationship if I win or lose this argument? If the answer is no, then I'm telling you, it's not that deep. Okay? The third thing I want you to think about is you're leading your family, you're leading your wife, and you're in a marriage, and you are protecting black women and loving black families, right? The thing that you have to do is you have to create a vision for your marriage. You have to. You have to create a vision and direction for your marriage. And I know that seems like there's a lot of pressure to do that. And in a sense, there is some pressure. I'm not going to deny that. But at the same time, I'm not saying this is exactly where you have to end up. I'm just saying you have to articulate and clearly communicate where you mean to go. Okay? And you got to, because if you don't, it almost becomes like you're not showing up for work, right? It's almost like you are check marking tasks, but you're not showing up to do what you're supposed to do. So like I'm a basketball player, so I hope you follow this analogy. All right. If I'm getting paid to score a lot of points, right? And I show up to a game and I have rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, but I go 0 for 30. Oh no, if I go 0 for 0 and I don't take a shot, right? 0 for 0. You pay me millions of dollars to score points. I go 0 for 0, but I got 5 assists and I got 7 blocks and 3 steals and 8 rebounds. Everybody on my team, all my coaches, all the fans will be correct in saying that I didn't do my job. And for some of you in relationships and marriages, that's what you're doing. You are taking care of people financially. You are being present. You are taking care of the kid. You are taking your girl on date night, but you haven't provided vision. And so nobody has any idea the direction the family should go or is going. And you haven't done your job. Like point blank period. You just haven't done your job. Are you supposed to do those other things? Yes, it's fire when you get assists and rebounds and steals and blocks. We love when you do those things. But we need you to also, first and foremost, do what we pay you to do. And that's what, and in your marriage, that's what you're paid to do. That's the responsibility you have. You have to provide vision and a plan. You have to say, hey, this is where we are. This is where we're going. This is how I think we can get there. Now, you need to make sure there's space in your plan for your family to pivot, to change, to grow, to challenge, right? You lay the plan out. This is our 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever it is. You lay it out for your girl. This is where we are. This is where I want to go. You have to allow space for her to be like, okay, I don't mind getting there. I can see the vision. I like that plan, but somewhere in between, I don't really like the details of how we get there. Can we talk about that? Be man enough to be like, I would love to talk about that. Because what are number one thing leaders need? Buy-in. You need buy-in. You can have all the vision and you want, right? If you don't have buy-in, you ain't getting there, right? I'm telling you, it's way easier to run with people than to drag them along. This is just common sense. This is physics. And you know what I'm saying? So we want buy-in, but you have to come with that plan before she even can give you buy-in. If there's no plan, there's nothing to buy into. If there's no vision, there's nothing to buy into. And so the third thing that you have to do is you have to have a vision. And for some of you, you don't have vision because you ain't never thought about that. You ain't never thought that far. And I'm telling you, that's okay if you're single. Being honest, if you single, that's fine. Have no vision, have no plan, live every day however you want to live it. But if you're committed to a woman and you are in a relationship and you are married, right? I'm talking about specifically husbands, right? Because until you're married, you're singles, both of y'all have your own plan. But if you're talking about marriage, you have a plan for the family, you got to have one. You have to have one. And it don't have to be super tight where you have everything we're going to do every single day, but it does need to be forward thinking and grow and enable growth. Okay. And that's going to enable you to take a step back. You get to breathe easier about the day-to-day thing, right? You don't have to trip so much about the day-to-day stuff because you know you're on the same page for where you want to go. And what that allows you to do is also, you begin to think and hope the best for your spouse instead of being overly critical or thinking negatively about her. Like, she's just trying to make me mad. She's trying to get me upset. You remember, oh no, we on the same team. We done talked about where we want to go. We done talked about, you know what I'm saying, how we going to get there. We on the same team. And so then when she does something, your foundation is, hey, babe, I thought we was on the same team. Ain't we going this place? Because that don't seem like that fits with where we want to go. And that allows her to be self-aware, right? And you guys get to have dialect based on who you are and where you want to be. And it's not personal, right? You don't attack her. She don't attack you. And it's not, is this thing that you're doing, is this thing I'm doing fit into the plan? Yes or no, why or not? Okay? And it's okay to change plans. I want to make that clear. Me and my wife, we've changed plans several times, right? We've been urban missionaries. I was a professional athlete. They're like, we've changed plans several times, but we've always had one, right? Even if that plan was, all right, baby, this is where we are. This is where we want to be. I don't know how we're going to get there right now, but I'm just laying it out in front of you, babe. This where we are, and this is where I want to be in 5 or 10 years. All right, let's walk towards that. And if God throw a wrinkle in the plan, God do your thing. Okay? God do your thing. Hey, babe, God pivoted us. This is where we're going. Okay, and this the plan once we get there. Okay, like that's part of the rhythm of marriage and part of the rhythm of life is just having plans, but not necessarily saying if this don't work out, I'm a failure. Because you're not. That's what I want to recognize too, man. Some of you are afraid to make plans because you're afraid they're going to fail. It is okay for plans to fail. It is not okay not to have a plan. Okay? If plans fail, you can evaluate why they failed. You can evaluate if it was a good plan in the first place. You could take, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things you can learn from a failed plan. If you don't have anything in place, you cannot learn, you cannot be better. And so it is much, much better for your long-term development as a man to have plans and vision that fail than it is to not have any at all. For your long-term development, for you to be the man that you want to be, that you know you can be, come up with something. Come up with something that can fail. Make it big. Make it a dream. Come up with something that can fail because it will motivate you to work, which all men need to do. And I'm not talking about just 9 to 5 o'clock. No, all men need to work, whatever that looks like in your area. You gotta work, right? And it'll motivate you to lead well every day because you want your family to get to the final destination. You want them to get to the end goal of the plan. Okay, so those are some things that I think are super important, and it's something where if you do these things, I want to let you. If you do these things, what will happen? And I'll be honest. It doesn't mean your wife will always agree with you. That's impossible. Let that go. Just let that ideal go that y'all always gonna be in agreement. That's just not real unless you marry a robot, okay? If you marry a human, y'all are gonna be in disagreement. But what will happen is your wife will respect your decision making and she'll respect your leadership, which ultimately as a husband is the number one thing you want. It really is. Like, I understand we want things in our marriage, right? We want a lot of things from our wives, but the one thing that we really do want that really gives us peace is we want to know that you respect our decision making. If I can go to sleep at night very, very peacefully, knowing my wife respects my decision making. Like I said, we don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye. We get in the little spats here and there. But one, we argue well. Why do we argue well? Because we have the same goal. We own the same team. I'm not trying to beat her. She be trying to beat me. But that ain't what we talking about, all right? But I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to win at nothing. When we talk and we argue, I'm not trying to win the argument. I'm trying to make sure we get back on the same page. I'm trying to make sure we still go in the same direction. Okay? So, like, that's what you got to remember. And if you do those things and she respects your decision making, what will happen is when you have an argument and you're thinking the best of her, right? You knowing this is my teammate. She's bought into the vision. She's bought into the plan. She might just be having a bad day. Or what has changed that makes her not want to, you know what I'm saying, fulfill this plan no more. And now you can really start getting deeper with your wife, and you can really start spending the time to know her because they change. Women change. That is, I wish someone would have told me that. No one told me that getting into marriage. I didn't understand that until I got around some older married dudes after I was already married. You're going to be married once, but to a whole bunch of different women. Okay. And what I mean by that is your wife is going to change every 3 to 5 years. Clock it in. Clockwork. 3 to 5 years. If you lucky, some change every 2. And the wild ones change every 1, okay? But they're going to change. That's who they are naturally. They are growing and transitioning, and they different ages make them feel different. That's just the reality of life. And that's not a wife thing. That's a woman thing. You talk to single women, they'll tell you they're not nowhere near the same woman at 40 that they was at 35 or 30 or 25 or 20. Men are a lot more slower to change. I ain't gonna hold you. We be the same dude. We be solid, constant. That's who we are. We change some too, but it's not as volatile and it's not as drastic as women's changes may be. That being said, if she respects your leadership and your decision making as she's changing, she can communicate that in real time because she'll respect you enough to know you know what to do with these changes. She can trust you with these changes and you'll work them into the plan and you'll take them into account when you lay in the vision, right? You'll understand if you need to pivot or if you need to stay the course through this transition. Like she'll trust you with that burden. And it is a burden, right? Think about you getting together with your wife and you all lay a 10-year plan out and she changed 3 years in. She don't want to tell you she changed because she might be worried that that we got this plan, but I don't really want to do that no more. I want to change jobs. I want to change career. I don't know how I really feel about living there no more. I don't know. So, but if she trusts your decision making and you're gentle with her and you're loving with her, right? She can bring that change to you. Like, this how I'm feeling, right? I know I said this and I fully believed it when I said it, but now I'm here. What we going to do with this? I need some help. And you can say, don't even, that change, we can still get there. So don't even worry about it. You figured it out. You change all you want, babe. I got you. We still going to get there. Or you can say, hey, that does change things. Let's reevaluate, you know what I'm saying, our plan. This is kind of where I think this could work with you doing this. How does that compare to what we had in play? Those are the conversations that you can have that are so beneficial for you as a leader, right? As a leader to have opportunities to really go grassroots, boots on the ground with the people you're leading. There's nothing that's going to better you as a leader more. Okay. Being around other leaders is great, but having real conversations with the people you're leading is what sharpens you as a leader. Okay. That's what when you talk about being in the trenches, that's what it is. You're in the trenches. You're in the place where with the people who you're leading and stuff is flying all around and things are going on. How do you maintain that vision and plan? How do you keep things going? How do you keep the confidence of the people you're leading? That's where you become a great leader. And so those are some things that I really hope can benefit you. Like I really was challenged. That's what I'm saying. I was challenged by my homie. Like he was like, bro, this is great stuff. You never said nothing about this on the podcast. And I'm like, well, you know what I'm saying? The podcast ain't really about that. And then I thought about it some more. I'm like, actually, it is. Like being a husband is being a leader. It's the leader of a family. It's the most basic form of leadership outside of self. You lead yourself first and then you lead your family. We talked about it on the last episode. And so I wanted to talk Black History Month. I want to talk about Black men leading families and what that could look like if it's done healthy. The last thing I want to lead y'all with, this is the bonus, right? I said it's in a conversation and I think that it can be beneficial for you. There is a time in a marriage when you're pushing, right? Where you're pushing someone over the finish line. You're pushing someone to the finish line. You're pushing them to the destination. And that is very hard. Pushing someone is difficult. If you ever pushed weight, it is very difficult to push. Okay. It requires a lot of muscles. It requires a lot of energy. And the reason it requires so much is that person don't want to go there. Okay. They're putting their feet in the ground. They don't want to get over the finish line. They struggling, doing all these things. I'll give a perfect example. My wife, she working on her doctorate for 6 years, right? There was plenty of times in that 6 years where she was like, nope, she used to say, I'm all but dissertation and I'm cool with it. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You had a goal. You had a vision. You had a plan. You ain't cool with it. I push it. Nope, go right. When you gonna write? I'm on her nerves. She's like, boy, stop bothering me. Nope, I ain't stop bothering you nothing. I'm push. It's time to push. We getting to this finish line, right? And so there are times where you got to push, but you got to recognize when it's no longer time to push and it's time to pull. And what I mean by that is sometimes in a marriage, there are things that you know need to happen. And your wife is unwilling to do those things. She might not see them the same way you see them. She might not want to necessarily make the changes necessary yet, right? And so you just got to pull her along. And what I mean by that is, for like example, I'll use health. Health is a great example. Sometimes we're in a marriage and we're like, yo, we both need to get healthy. And she like, yep, I agree. But then she want to eat out every day, right? And she don't want to exercise. And she don't want to do the things required to get to the goal that you both agreed upon. What's easier than be like, babe, you ain't work out today. This will be pushing would be like this. You ain't work out today. You gonna eat that? Come on, you can't be eating that. You ain't work out yesterday either. When you gonna work out? Oh boy, you still big? Don't say that. Don't ever say that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying pushing would be like that. You nagging or you getting on her. Pulling would be like, nah, man, I don't want nothing from Chick-fil-A. I cooked. Remember? I'm gonna hit the gym. You wanna go? All right. Babe, I just want to tell you, I've been doing the stuff we talked about doing. I'm down 10 pounds. Look how these clothes fit me. Like, that's what pulling looks like. Pulling looks like, hey, we made a decision to do this together, and I'm going to take off running because I know eventually you're going to start coming with me. And what's beautiful about that is it gives you an opportunity to be healthy, right? And show her what it looks. You get to be an example of what it looks like to do the things that you agreed upon doing. And I know that it can be difficult running along, right? When you like, man, I'm signed up to run with someone. Yes, but you also signed up to make sure y'all both finish the race. And so sometimes that means you got to get out ahead so she can see it and be like, okay, I know how to get there now. Like, sometimes that's what it looks like, is you got to get out ahead and run the race how it's supposed to be ran so that she can see it, visualize it, and now she can run it herself. And you know what's going to make you so happy is when she start running it. And what's going to be crazy is when she pass you up, right? And because she's fully bought into the vision and she take off and she going full speed and she's enjoying it, something that she didn't want to do but knew she needed to. That's when you'll be able to sit back and be like, I've led well. I've led well. I've led well. And I want that for all of you. I want you all to be excellent leaders because I know at the end of the day, when we talk about the Black community and impacting the Black community, I know we've been talking about it all month, right? We still got another few days to go. It is so important to the Black community and Black family that we have men that lead marriages well, because that is the cornerstone of the Black community. And so I hope that you all got something today. Drop a comment. Tell me what you agreed with, what you disagree with. Tell me your experience. I know I got I'll be looking at the demographics from my viewers. I got a lot of Black men that be watching my stuff. Tell me what y'all think. If you in a marriage or if you've been married or you thinking about marriage, tell me what you think about the responsibility of leadership and some tips and tricks. Drop some in the comments. What's a tip and trick you can give to someone who's aspiring to be an excellent leader within a marriage? I hope that you enjoyed some. Ladies, I hope you took notes. Some of y'all fighting, y'all getting pulled, and y'all done put anchors in the ground. You know y'all decided to go there. Go ahead and just do it, okay? But no, I love all y'all, and I hope y'all enjoyed the podcast today. It's been an honor and a privilege. As always, as your favorite Crew Excellence member, Justin Strickland. You can ask your mama. She gonna tell you 3 times, all right? And I'm out, man. Peace. Crew Excellence. Another great episode. I'm so honored to be leading the journey you're on. And I just want to let you know, this is what we're building here. We're building a community and an audience and a family that pursues excellence together. And if you want to be part of that family, right, this content is free. You can keep coming over here every Friday, catching a podcast, but we have so much more. First of all, if you join Crew Excellence, you get the podcast on Thursday. Yup, 24 hours early. Second thing, you get part of our private group where we talk about leadership every single day. You get Motivation Monday. You get discounts on merch. Okay. And anytime we have an event, you get first dibs on tickets. So I think that being a part of this community is amazing. There's definitely different levels to it. But hey, if you just watching and you say that ain't for me yet, cool. I appreciate you. Keep watching. Like, comment, subscribe. But if you want to go deeper and you want to be more of a part of a community that loves each other and that pushes each other to be their best self, go ahead, head over to the website, join Crew Excellence. It's a membership site on the site. You can join it and you get entered right into the community, plugged in. Hey, it's dope over there. I'm talking about fire. You missing out. But hey, I love y'all for whatever you do and however you are a part of Crew Excellence. And I can't wait till next week. Please watch another video. If you missed the episode, tune in because they all fire. All right, man. It's the host who's the Moses, your favorite Crew Excellence member, and I'm out. Peace.